one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talking Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening or watching. Glad to have you part of our show today. We're glad to be part of your day. I want to give a special shout out to all of our viewers on Fight TV. Don't forget, we got our app. If you want to download it now. That's Fight TV, FITE.TV/Billy C. Download our app today. Enjoy the show on your handheld or anything else. And make sure you get the pay-per-views that are scheduled for this week. This show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria, an Italian restaurant located on beautiful St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out his website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. I'll give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I drive all the way to Sal's Pizza to get a slice. That's right. I drive all the way to Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria to get a slice. That's a pretty far drive. I don't waste my time with takeout. It gets a little cold by the time I drive 20 hours back to New York. You know what I mean? Check it out, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Gawk Box. What is it? Well, it's a neat little site that you can save some money and help us. Check out our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Gawk Box banner. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by the Anthony Joshua Wladimir Klitschko post-fight show, which will be airing right here, live, as soon as the fight is over tomorrow night. Make sure you tune it in. We'll open up the phone lines. We'll give you our thoughts, everything about that. Get your thoughts. Don't forget to tune in for Billy C's Anthony Joshua Wladimir Klitschko post-fight show. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage, The Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all great books are sold. You can literally get a copy of this book by visiting BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com right now. If you're looking to get a signed copy, don't worry about it. We'll hook you up with that pretty easily. All you got to do is visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the book. You can't miss it. It's right there. Hey, great news today. I want to announce officially and welcome to our family is the Holyfield TV network. That's right. We're glad to be part of the Holyfield TV network. Now this show can be seen on the Holyfield TV network, so we're excited about that, and we are making our debut today. So we're glad to be part of that. I want to thank all the powers that be that made that possible. Well, today's show, what are we going to talk about? Well, let's focus on the biggest fight in the heavyweight division in a long time. I can't remember when. Well, I guess truthfully, the last time had to be Wladimir Klitschko against Tyson Fury. But there's a lot more energy surrounding this particular fight, and what we have is the young gun, world champion Anthony Joshua, who's busted onto the scene. He's taken on the guy that pretty much dominated the heavyweight division for a decade in Wladimir Klitschko. There's a lot of ramifications about this fight for not only the heavyweight division, but for the sport itself. And I just, I can't wait for the fight. And I think it's going to live up to the hype. We talked about that on the last show. A lot of people feel it won't be, including Larry Hazard, who was on our show on Wednesday. And, he felt that it would not live up to the hype. I personally feel it will, but we'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell about that, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. So we're going to talk about the fight. We're going to break it down. I got some emails to read. We got some other news. We may even have some time to open up the phone lines. But without further ado, I got to welcome in my man, okay? So for all you out there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Children's of all ages. He's a New Jersey Boxing Hall of Famer. He's a Guinness Book of World Record holder, and he's a pretty darn good restaurateur. Please welcome the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sal Rocky Senecola. What's up, Sal?
Billy C., good morning. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. There you go. Hey, I'm getting emails about your custom made mugs, man. If you want one of those custom made mugs, make sure you drop me an email. And he's got a whole inventory of them right now. But,
I'm gonna make them into like chess pieces on a life-size chessboard, and nah, maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe stick away from that. But anyway, Sal, we got the big fight this weekend. It's finally here. We're going to be doing a post-fight show.
Absolutely.
Wladimir Klitschko against Anthony Joshua. I have some interesting stuff I wanted to mention. First and foremost about Wladimir Klitschko. I don't know. Maybe we'll read some emails first. I mean, what do you vote for? Should we start breaking down the fight or get some emails out of the way?
Let's get to the meat of the matter. Let's break down the fight right now.
All right, so let's talk about.
Let's look about some things.
Now that Sal has
salivating.
dictated and changed the whole way we're going to do the show,
Or we can read some emails. Let's read some emails.
We could do one or the other, right? What was the right answer? Hey, you had a 50% shot at that, Sal. And listen,
I think we should read some emails.
I agree. Let's get right into it. That actually was what I wanted to do. But let's take a look. Wladimir Klitschko has pretty much dominated the heavyweight division for a decade, and he was a world champion. He was regarded by most as the heavyweight champion. During his title reign, he made 18 successful world title defenses, and only two other fighters in the history of the heavyweight division has made more, and that's the late, great Joe Louis, who made 25 successful heavyweight title defenses, and then, of course, Hall of Famer Larry Holmes, who made 20. Klitschko actually was in 28 world heavyweight title fights. He had two particular reigns, but his last reign lasted for slightly under 10 years, to be exact, 9 years, 7 months, and 7 days. Which was the second longest reign in heavyweight history, only behind Joe Louis, who held his world heavyweight title for 11 years, 8 months, and 8 days. But some quotes that I wanted to mention, some important quotes I want to get your thoughts on, Sal, before we really get into it, is, Wladimir Klitschko had a lot to say. He's a class act, and so is Anthony Joshua. But some interesting stuff that Klitschko said that really kind of hit home with me, and it really makes me think that Klitschko is a dangerous guy, not only because of his already proven accomplishments and so on and so forth, but listen to this, Sal. He says, this is Wladimir Klitschko. This is a guy that I just said, held on to this belt for almost a decade. He said, this is my chance, my opportunity, my obsession. It's become my signature fight. I have a chance to fight myself to heaven. How is it not going to be a signature fight? I'm a lucky mother effer, he says, which he never says bad words. He says, to get the opportunity to fight on the biggest stage of my career and with the attention I've never had before. I feel it from the fans. Even though I'm the underdog, I'm considered like food for the Lions for this fight, and I don't care. I'm determined, I'm obsessed, and I'm not kidding about that. I've been totally reloaded. I don't have the pressure of defending a title, constantly defending, and even the pressure of trying to break the late, great Joe Louis's records. I don't have any of those pressures anymore. I'm a free man. I now have the freedom in my mind, my body, and my soul, and I love it. I don't have the pressure anymore. I was like a hamster in a wheel, defending. Now, for the first time in a long time, I'm out of that wheel. But when you keep hearing about Louis, it's still there. You know it's there. It's in the back of your mind. If you want to destroy a person, give them 10 years straight of success. To handle success for that long period of time is super complicated. Whatever Floyd Mayweather has done is outstanding. He's amazing. You have to respect that. It's incredible discipline. I had my success for a long time. Now I'm representing the majority of society because I've had ups and downs. I went down. Now I'm trying to pick myself back up, and it will be against Anthony Joshua. Sal, what do you think about that? I mean, those comments, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a guy that has let out a big breath of fresh air, and he's a dangerous guy from that point, it seems like. What's your thoughts?
Well, he is a very dangerous guy, and his words, you could sense and you could hear. He feels empowered. He's empowering with his words. The pressure is off him on the level that he did state. He's going into this fight. He sees glory. He sees and recognizes the gains from this fight and the opportunity to challenge himself once more. And whether this is his last hurrah, one way or the other, he's empowered. And that's a very dangerous fighter. He's got his age. He's got a lot of things going on with his experience. But the bottom line is he's feeling good mentally. And this fight game is very, very much a mental part of the game. Your attitude and your dedication, your focus, your blinders, your tunnel vision, if you will. And he exudes right now that feeling and confidence of, hey, I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to go in there, put it on the line, and do my very best because that's what I do. That's how I'm built, and that's what I do. That's why I respect both these warriors. They're both kind of in the same mold with their mindset. And they're both going to be gladiators to the end until one guy has his hand raised at the end of the fight. I love it. I love it.
I tell you, what I gather, and I agree with you, what I gather from that quote, that long-winded quote, it was actually taken from an interview he did the other day. I mean, he emphasized it time and time again and admitted that the pressure really played an important part of his performance and was in his mind, throughout his training process, etc. By him giving Floyd Mayweather the kudos, it was more or less saying, here's a guy that's, been on top for so long and is able to maintain being on top. Now, the one big difference that I see between Floyd and Klitschko is that Klitschko really fought everyone available to him in the division. We can't fault Wladimir Klitschko for a weak division, if you want to call it that. The one difference between he and Floyd is that Floyd was in a position where he just picked and chose his opponents. Wladimir Klitschko fought who he had to fight and came out on top. But nonetheless, I thought it was pretty cool that Wladimir Klitschko, made that comparison and gave the kudos to Floyd for being able to maintain that discipline. And he used the word discipline, which is something that, whether you like Floyd or not, everybody has to agree that the guy is an extremely disciplined fighter. And I was glad to hear that Klitschko gave him those props, But anyway, I have a quote from Anthony Joshua that I want to read. And then let's, just backtrack a little bit and read a couple of emails. And then we'll get into breaking down the fight physically. But first, Sal, it's time to take a short little break. So we'll be back in about, I don't know, I say 2 minutes, man. So don't go anywhere.
I'm going to go get a refill.
We'll be back. Yeah, you need a refill. Get it. Back the truck up. Sal's getting a refill of coffee.
What I do is I pour this out of there into there.
There you go. We'll be back in 2.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a 1,000,000 bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call at 800-567-0214 because we're going to let 1,000,000 people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. Call 800-567-0214. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait. Call 800-567-0214. That's 800-567-0214.
This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS. Look, I know you want to keep ignoring those letters, but the problem isn't going away. It's really stressful, and you don't know where to turn.
The good news is you have rights, and we can help resolve your IRS problems.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, our qualified CPAs, tax negotiators, and support staff know the law and know how to get your situation under control legally and permanently.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. You wouldn't go to fix your car without going to a mechanic, so why face the IRS without an experienced company that can help you?
Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you.
Or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now, back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Don't forget about my book. That's right. Get a copy of it right now. Just visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click on it. You can't miss it. It's right there. And we also want to give a special shout-out to the Holyfield Television Network. We're making our debut today, so we're real excited about that. We want to thank all the powers that be, and we want to welcome a new audience to us that hopefully you guys will love the show as much as many others do. But I'm here with my man Sal Rocky Senecola, and Sal, I got a Anthony Joshua quote. Anthony says, referring to Klitschko, of course, he says, he's got a good chin. How long has he reigned? 10 years? He says, yeah. You know, and before I go on, you know, that was the knock on Klitschko, that he didn't have a good chin. And, you know, early in his career, I think that, you know, he got his defense tightened up a little with Manuel Stewart. So prior to Manny Stewart, you know, he had a suspect chin. Since then, really nobody's been able to get to it. So we don't know if it was a suspect chin, if he just had to tighten up his defense or whatever. But anyway, he says he's got a good chin. How long's he reigned? 10 years? He says, yeah, he's got a good chin. You can't be a championship fighter for 10 years if you got a bad chin. That's the thing about the heavyweight division. All it takes is one shot. All these fighters that we claim that have good chins are the ones who get knocked out by Wladimir. So he must be doing something right. I remember that Samuel Peters had a granite chin, but they still ended up getting knocked out down the line, and they don't go on to do great things. So regardless of the chin, I think he's got something right that works. And I think he makes an interesting point, Sal, about you know, the so-called questionable chin of Wladimir Klitschko. I mean, you know, he doesn't reign for 10 years if people can just you know, nail him on his chin and he goes down.
No, and that's 100% true. I mean, he's tightened up his defense, and he's been caught with shots. And you know what? He's weathered the storm for 10 years. So I mean, he's got a pretty decent chin. And you know, I'll tell you what. I think in the end, it's going to be the chin. The chin.
Well, you know, I mean, the thing
he's got to withstand that.
Well, the thing is, though, Sal, you know, what Klitschko had a tendency to do, and we'll see how he fights against Joshua, but he had a tendency to wait, and he's become very patient. It was very hard to hit him because he uses his jab so well, and he's got that right hand cocked and ready to go. And I think, you're fighting a guy like this, Sal, and he's got this devastating punching power. And you can't help. I mean, from a fighter's perspective, right? You're in there. Your team has told you watched film. You prepare. He's got this hammer as a right hand, and you know it's going to come. You know what you've done in training to try to offset it or avoid it, but you see it. It's right in front of you. It's cocked. It's ready. You're anticipating it to come. What do you do as a fighter when he's so patient and waits for that shot? I mean, that's got to throw you off a bit, right?
Bill, I'll tell you what. Yes and no. Not, if you fight a patient fight, and this guy's got this awesome hand, and he's going to look to have that hand cocked almost like an Ivan Drago in Rocky. Forget about it. But, I mean, here he is. And that's where you take your steps and you try to outbox the guy. You don't give him the chance to get set to unleash that right hand. You hit him with jabs, you move a little bit, you feint a little bit, you go down the body, you come up. You got to work him. You got to be patient. And that's why styles make fights. And that's the beauty of this game. And you're going to have two warriors with maybe some contrasting styles. And Wladimir Klitschko, very patient. He's going to wait. He's going to do his thing. He's got a good, powerful jab. He's got a tight defense. And he's going to be looking to unload those heavy blows. And Anthony Joshua has been hurt. He can take a shot, but he's been down on the ground. And, fortunately, he's gotten up. He's also got devastating power. So this fight, I don't know if it's going to go 12 rounds.
And just to clarify something with Anthony Joshua, he has been down, but never as a pro. We talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
And he's been down as an amateur, and he has been rocked as a pro, but he hasn't been down. But I don't know if he's ever been hit with the power that he's going to get hit with Wladimir Klitschko. It's going to be interesting to see. And the other thing about Klitschko, Sal, is that Klitschko had become very proficient fighting smaller men. If you go back and you look at the history and watch film of Klitschko and his evolution, so to speak. He actually, and his brother Vitaly as well, they both became very proficient in delivering their punches downward, fighting a smaller guy. It really wasn't until, he fought, bigger guys, but a talented big guy like Tyson Fury seemed to give Klitschko a little trouble, plus the unorthodox game plan that Tyson came out with to fight Klitschko also seemed to give him a little trouble. And that was, his last fight, So, and I agree with you 100%, Sal. Anthony Joshua is his whole style is tight. He's a classic style, textbook, right? I mean, he goes in, he's,
beautiful.
Would you agree?
Hands up. I love Joshua. Hands up, delivers his punch, brings him back. He's deliberate in what he throws, and that's why I'm so excited. I love Anthony Joshua. I think he's the future of the heavyweight division. What is he? Only 28 years of age. He's only got 18 fights. I think he's got all of them wins by knockout. The guy's incredible. And whether it's going to be the passing of the torch or this is going to be Klitschko's last hurrah and devastating upset victory over a young buck lion, that's the excitement that I see in this fight. And what I also see, these are two class act athletes, and I'm glad to see it. And that's it.
Yeah, no, listen, you can't ask for more than, the two best fighters in the division. And I say the two best because I don't put Deontay Wilder as the best. I don't. I know he thinks he is, but I certainly don't agree with that. The one thing I will mention about Deontay Wilder, we talked about it earlier in the week, was the fact that he personally wants the winner of this fight, but he also admitted that, his team may not let him fight him, which I think is BS. Because
that's BS.
Well, at the end of the day, Sal,
the
fighter wants to fight. He gets to fight. He says to his team, I don't care what you think. I want so-and-so, right?
Basically, they'll make it happen. They will have, they might take a little ballet sidestep, do this, do that, and say, well, we got to do this, we got to do that. But forget about it. If the fighters, if Deontay Wilder is sitting ringside, and the victor of this fight has his hand raised, and Deontay Wilder stands up and says, "Hey, I'm here. I want you. We're going to make it happen." The momentum and the excitement and the anticipation, not only just after a climatic victory, whoever wins tomorrow, but having Deontay Wilder actually stand up and challenge in front of the world audience, there's going to be some things in the work that will have to maybe help it come to fruition. We'll see.
Yeah, no, we'll see.
We'll see.
I got a couple of emails. Well, let's read one, and then I got to take another break, and then we'll read the rest, and we'll go on to continue to break down the fight, and give our exact opinions and all that happy stuff. But this first one is from my man Jesse. He says, "Hey, Billy C and Sal, my predictions for the weekend." He says, "I got Anthony Joshua knocking out Vladimir in 5. Billy, I just feel that Joshua will be ready for Vlad's clinching and movement. I think Joshua will move in and out, looking for his shot, while I see Vlad trying to catch Joshua coming in. He will miss. Eventually, Joshua will corner Vlad and catch him with his killer combos. I don't think it'll live up to the expectations as far as a wow, what a fight, but I think it will be good nonetheless." He says, "I got Perez beating Campbell in a split decision, Quigg, unanimous decision over Simon, and Pulev knocking out Johnson in 10. He says, Zambrano, first of all, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but just remember that Anthony Joshua, and I'll mention this a little bit later when we start breaking it down. Anthony Joshua, nobody loves Anthony Joshua more than me. I think that he's the future of the heavyweight division. I think that, he's loaded with talent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But make no mistake, he has not faced a level of opponent like Wladimir Klitschko ever in his life. So this will be part of his growth as a heavyweight champion, should he get by. But knocking out Wladimir Klitschko quickly in 5, I don't see it happening unless Wladimir Klitschko has aged so rapidly since his last fight, and the fact that he is 41. But I'll tell you, I saw some training videos of Vlad, and he looks good. He looks good. He's in shape, which he always is, and I don't know. Anyway, he says Zambrano over Moreno, knockout in 10 rounds. He says, "What's your thoughts on Carlos Zambrano?" I like him, but he hasn't fought since August of 2015. He's in a real fight on Saturday, and I think the long layoff will show. Murillo is a good fighter. I just, I don't know. Not fighting since 2015 and being a top fighter. I mean, I think the layoffs definitely hurt you. I mean, don't they, Sal?
Well, I had a layoff for 25 years, 66 straight days, but I felt fine going back in the ring.
Yeah, that's what you said. But you wouldn't have been able to fight a world-class fighter.
No,
but if you were active, and you took that long of a time off, like Zambrano has, I think it's going to affect him more than a year.
Yeah, you take a year off. Let's face it. I'll be realistic. Yeah. You are going to have to work off the early ring rust, just for your conditioning, your timing, and things like that. Nothing emulates or mimics a fight better than the actual fight. And I think that can make sense of what you break it down. What I'm saying is, you can do all the sparring in the gym. You can move. You can feel what's going to happen, and you can anticipate your distance, your range. But when you're in front of the audience, you're in the ring. You've got the lights on you. This is where it counts. Yeah, you've got to work off, get that time down, and you have no more time to practice because this is what you're in the shape and what you're in the gym for, and this is the moment that you are rising to the occasion. And no time to practice. You got to do it right now. So when you have fights every couple of months, as we used to, you have that momentum going for you. You have that continuity going for you, and you're in a rhythm. You feel good. But if you take a year off, a couple times even in my career, I had injuries or so. I had maybe a year span in between fights. Yeah, first one back is a little. You got to get used to it,
Well, the whole thing is he's in tough. That's
He's
the
in
thing.
tough.
He's in a big fight. One last thought that I'm going to read from Jesse, then I got to take a break. I'm a little over my time. He says, what's your thoughts on Fanlong Meng? He fights on this Saturday. Fanlong Meng, he's a 29-year-old Chinese southpaw light heavyweight. The computer has him at number 74 in the light heavyweight division. He's 10-0 with 7 knockouts. He's pretty big for a light heavyweight, 6'2". I'm not sure what to think of him, Jesse. He's been moved along extremely carefully. His best win to date was a 5th-round stoppage over veteran Daniel Judah, and that took place in July of last year. He fights a stiff. I can't describe him any other way. He fights a stiff in Brad Austin this weekend in North Carolina. Brad has got a record of 12-23. And generally, he looks for a nice, soft place to take a snooze during the fight. So we won't get a good feel on him this weekend. But, hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I got a couple of more emails. We'll continue our breakdowns of the big fight, Anthony Joshua against Wladimir Klitschko. All of that is coming up in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a $1 million bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call at 800-567-0214 because we're going to let 1 million people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. Call 800-567-0214. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait. Call 800-567-0214. That's 800-567-0214.
This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS. Look, I know you want to keep ignoring those letters, but the problem isn't going away. It's really stressful, and you don't know where to turn.
The good news is you have rights, and we can help resolve your IRS problems.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, our qualified CPAs, tax negotiators, and support staff know the law and know how to get your situation under control legally and permanently.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. You wouldn't go to fix your car without going to a mechanic, so why face the IRS without an experienced company that can help you?
Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you.
We're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And don't forget about Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on beautiful St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, and find out what all the hubbub is about. Bub. And speaking of Sal, he's with me now. And Sal, we got another email to read. This one's from your friend, Joel.
Joel.
My man Joel says, hey, Billy C. and Sal. Hope you guys are well. I was curious on the official Billy C. and Sal prediction for the monster fight this weekend, Joshua versus Klitschko. Who wins and how do you see that person winning? We're going to give our official predictions in a second, so rather than do that now, I'll move on to his next question. He says, lastly, Billy C., I ordered the Pulev versus Johnson fight on Fight TV. I'm going to watch it after I finish work, but I was curious on prediction for that fight as well. Now, first of all, if you're not going to get, if you were thinking about getting the Pulev-Johnson fight on Fight TV. Don't forget to download our app so you can watch it. Go to Fight, that's F-I-T-E, fight.tv/Billy C. Fight.tv/Billy C. Download our app and watch the pay-per-view. And speaking of pay-per-views on Fight TV, beginning next week, we will have the embedded code on our website so you can actually go right to our website and watch them, which will be really cool too. So as far as the fight itself, I tell you the truth, I think that it's going to be a good fight. A lot of people are saying, oh, Johnson's going to, get knocked out and all this stuff. Johnson's a tough guy. The only guy that's ever knocked him out so far is Anthony Joshua. And I'm not so sure Pulev has that power that Anthony Joshua has. I've seen Pulev fight. Like I mentioned the other day, I was ringside for his fight against Eric Rossi in Denmark. And, I've met him. I sat next to him. I couldn't talk to him. He doesn't speak English. But he's not as big as he looks sometimes in the ring. I mean, I'm 5'8". I'm a small guy, and he wasn't like, so monstrous. I mean, when I stood next to Nikolai Valuev one time in Germany, I mean, this guy was huge. He filled up an elevator, that was a big guy. Pulev isn't that big. Now, Johnson, I've also met Kevin Johnson in person and stood by him, and, he seems bigger. Girth-wise, I don't mean fat. I don't know what kind of condition he's in, but I don't know if it's going to be that easy of a fight for Pulev. And Pulev, he's been carefully moved. And Derek Rossi had him hurt. Kevin Johnson says he's going to break him down. He says Pulev doesn't scare me. He's a cartoon character. He might look serious, but that's because he's an ugly dude, and ugly people always look serious. Whereas, that's like Sal, he's always looking serious. He says, whereas people like me always have a smile on their face. It is what it is. I can smile in person, and I can whoop his ass in the ring. He says, on Friday, I'm going to come and break him down and make him quit. He could take a lot of shots, but there will come a time when he's going to say enough is enough. It might be the 5th round. It might be the 7th. It might be the 12th. It doesn't matter. All that matters is I'm taking the belt home. Sal, Kevin Johnson, at one point in time, I really thought that he was a major player in the heavyweight division. As a matter of fact, I actually thought that he was the best heavyweight. But what turned me off of him is exactly this. These kinds of, BS statements. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. When he said that, he's better than Muhammad Ali, I mean, it turned me off, and then he never was able to produce. Do you think this is a case where he's just shooting off his mouth, trying to just, fight the battle with his mouth? Or do you think he's in decent shape and he's going to come in and give Pulev trouble? Because make no mistake, if he was in good shape, I think he does give Pulev some trouble. What do you think?
I think you're right. Exactly what you just said is your assessment there. And, Kevin Johnson, for him to make that statement about Muhammad Ali, yeah, I'd have a hard time following and respecting him after that myself. But if I was to bet on his words, my money's on him. But, let's see what fighter shows up. And that's the reality of this. You could talk a good game. You could do whatever you got to do. But when that bell rings and you're in a corner facing your opponent, that's when the fight starts. And that's when it all gets put on the line. So let's see what he could do. Sounds good. I think he's capable of beating Pulev, but I think we got to see which Johnson's going to show up in the ring and how good of a shape he is in.
Do you have official prediction for Joel?
Pain. I'm going to go with Johnson. Upsetting Pulev. We'll see.
I'm almost inclined to say the same thing, and I think that if Kevin Johnson, and I honestly don't know. I mean, I don't know how good of shape he's in. I don't know if he's at the point in his career where he feels he just wants to collect a payday. But I think he's got the tools to beat Pulev. Kevin Johnson was an extremely good boxer. I mean, he could box. Yes. He had hand speed. And he when he was on the rise, I mean, he did break his opponents down. I think that if Kevin Johnson's in really good shape, I could agree with you that he may very well upset Pulev, but the question of whether he's in good shape or not is the $1 million question. Assuming he's not in the greatest shape of his career and assuming that he's fighting in Bulgaria, I think the only way that he is going to win is by knockout. And I'm not so sure. I would love to go with you because, as much as I like Pulev and, I'd like to see him get a shot, I think Pulev is going to win the fight by a decision. That may be a controversial decision. I think Johnson is going to score. I think he's going to land some shots. He might even bust up Pulev. But as long as Pulev can finish the fight on his feet, he's going to get the decision. So, but don't be shocked. And it's Sal. I'm glad to hear that you went on a limb. Don't be shocked if Kevin Johnson beats Pulev. Remember, Derek Rossi. No disrespect to Derek, because he's one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. I watched Derek Rossi put Pulev in all kinds of trouble. Next thing you know, Pulev lands one solid shot to Derek Rossi, and the referee comes in and waves it off. Derek Rossi was still on his feet. Pulev was against the ropes, taking a beating. So I don't know. I think
Maybe
Sal might be on. I think you might be onto something here, Sal.
We'll see. I think I got something. We'll see. My money's going to be on Johnson.
Maybe I'll call you later, and I'll give you some money to give to your guy. You know what I mean? But anyway, we got another email. This is from my man Johnston. And let's see. And then we got one more after that. He says, good morning, Billy C. and Sal. I just want to say great job with the new setup on the show. It's been looking and sounding great on this side of the pond. And for all of our new viewers, Johnston is over in the UK. So we have a worldwide audience, which
that's great.
We're real happy about. He says, I want a cup like Sal's coffee cup, so please hook me up. Johnston, drop me an email, and I'll put you in touch with Sal, and he can custom make you one. I don't know what it will cost to get it to you, but I'm sure it's going to be less than $400 or $500 US. So don't worry about that. But drop me.
Which mug does he want?
Yeah, Sal's showing you right now. He's got a couple. Well, that one is custom. It's Man, Myth, the Legend. That's Sal. But he's got a couple of models of the. Look, you're gonna spill that one. Look how you really do drink that much coffee. I got a prop on the set here. I drank my coffee, but anyway. Yeah. So, and Johnston, by the way, if you're new to the show, check out our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and you can read Johnston's column, which is up there. He says, I know you got a lot of emails about the eagerly anticipated heavyweight showdown between AJ and Klitschko, so I'm going to keep it brief. I think it's going to be a tentative first few rounds when they try to work each other out, but then Joshua will find an opening and stop the big Ukrainian between the 8th and 10th round. The jab will be key in the opening rounds, and I think AJ will have the speed to be just ahead before finding the target, which will eventually end the fight. Thanks for your email, Johnston. And, Klitschko has a tendency to make fights extremely boring because he's waiting and waiting. And, what I read, the quote earlier, I believe that Klitschko is 100% correct, that he's going into this fight without any pressure on him. And when he fought tentatively, it seemed like, that pressure, in hindsight now, it seemed like that pressure was part of that. So it's going to be interesting to see if he comes out fighting in a different manner. And, of course, there's going to be a feeling out round. I don't think this fight's going to end early. And like Johnston, should it go 8, 10, 12 rounds. And if it does end, it's going to end in the latter part of the fight. But final email, and then we'll break down the fights fully. This is from my man Angel from Madison, Wisconsin. He says, Hola, Senor C. Anthony Joshua, I think, has the opportunity to bring about a new era of heavyweight boxing. He's young. He's vibrant. He's exciting. He has knockout power. He's still young, though, and facing Klitschko is a major challenge, but it is what it is, and it is what we need in boxing. What training advice would you give to Joshua as far as as how to fight and beat Klitschko? Every time a boxer fights a new opponent, one has to study the opponent. I'd like your take as to what Joshua should do and what he shouldn't do when he faces Klitschko. That's a good segue for us to break down. Thanks for the email, Angel. And, That's a tough question. I think the most important thing for Anthony Joshua, Sal, is patience. I think that, the fact that these two guys sparred before will help Anthony Joshua. It may hurt Klitschko. And the reason why I say that is because when you're a sparring partner, you're brought in as the sparring partner. And you're told before the bell rings, hey, listen, today, you're going to be working with the fighter, whoever you're brought in for. Today we want him to work on body work, so throw some jabs so he can, beat the hell out of your body, or today we want you to move around the ring because we want the fighter, the champion, to work on, fighting a fighter with movement. So being a sparring partner has a different mindset. I think it's going to be interesting to see if Anthony Joshua's mindset against Klitschko, because the only other times that they have fought were, obviously in sparring sessions where he was brought in to be a sparring partner to do what they tell him. I'm wondering if that will help or hurt him. What do you think, Sal?
That's a beautiful question because, many times my sparring sessions, I was brought in for Aaron Pryor. I was brought in for Rocky Lockridge. I even sparred Bobby Ches. And you have your place. And the one time I opened up against Kenny Bang Bang Bogner, and you do have exactly what the trainers say. Hey, do this. Make sure you're working like that, and you do what you do, and yet in your mind you say, hey, you know what? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do here for this case, but I feel if I really can, I can possibly move this way and take him out with that and do this and that. So yeah, I think this could be empowering for Anthony Joshua, saying, hey, I don't have any governor on my idol. I can go and do what I know I can do. And I felt comfortable the first time I was in a ring sparring. So now I'm going to let it all come out, and I'll show him what I can do. That's it. I think it's good for the sparring partner. I'd rather be, the sparring partner going into the fight than facing than being the fighter who is fighting his sparring partner.
So you think that mentally a sparring partner might be saying to the fighter that now he's fighting for real, you didn't see nothing. Now, I was told to do this, and now you're going to see the real me. Is that what you're basically saying?
That's what I'm basically saying. Basically, yeah, because when you're brought in as a sparring partner, and I've been in a ring with some of the world's best, and it's great, and you're excited, but you're doing what you got to do, and you're still toying with the idea, saying, wow, I'm in here with Aaron Pryor, and I'm doing what I can do, and I can move like this, and man, what would happen if we ever had a chance? And so it is exciting, and you could think about those things, and whether the reality of it is Anthony Joshua is in this exact position. I mean, when he was first sparring Wladimir, he probably was saying, okay, I'm going to do what I'm told to do, and I'm going to make sure I keep it on track. But, now, hey, guess what? Sparring's over. We're going to school right now. And the bottom line is I don't have anybody telling me not to do this or make sure I do that or whatever. I'm going out there showing my free-form self, and I'm going to land some dynamite and make sure it's my fight. Each of these fighters, being the way they are, they're warriors, and they've got to fight their fight. They can't fight the other person's fight, and that's what's going to make the difference in this fight.
Now, from the other perspective, from Wladimir Klitschko, here's a guy that brings a kid in to spar to get him ready for a fight. Does he feel that he's already won because in his mind he's had his way with him in the ring in the sparring sessions? Or is it the same as what we're saying? Is he saying, well, geez, maybe I didn't see the best Anthony Joshua in sparring, or is he thinking, well, I know how this kid moves. I already have a feel for him. And does that mean that these two guys won't have, feel out rounds, so to speak? What's the perspective from the other side, from the guy who, was the champion, so to speak, or at least the A fighter and
right.
Against the sparring partner? What's that perspective from you?
I'm gonna go with your former comment, not the latter. And what I mean by this is, he bringing a sparring partner in, the fighter that's getting in shape that you're bringing the sparring partner in. Not that he doesn't know any better. I mean, he understands, but he's doing his thing. So he feels he is already one up on his sparring partner. He feels he is the elitist in a sense, and so on that level, Klitschko is going to feel, look, I'm pretty familiar with this guy. I know he's not going to really show me too many different things that I'm not already used to. So it's kind of empowering for Klitschko to go in there anticipating, well, I know what I can expect from him. So, yeah, you have two perspectives. And that's what also is one of the variables that's going to make this fight a pretty good fight. Because you have the sparring partner in Joshua that's coming in saying, hey, I'm ready. I know what I can do against you, and you haven't seen me yet. And then you have Klitschko saying, well, I know what I can do with this guy. I've been in a position with him. I know some of his weaknesses and flaws, and I've exposed them, and I'm going to go after him. So that's what makes it such a great contrast as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it makes sense. Wladimir Klitschko, we take a look at Vlad. You know, we mentioned, you know, he was a champion for, you know, almost a decade. He's got a career. He's 41 years old. He just turned 41 in this past March. You know, his record to date, 64 wins, 53 coming by knockout, which has given him a 78% knockout ratio. He has lost 4 fights. 3 of those 4 have been by knockout. The only fight that he lost, that he was not knocked out in, was his last fight when he lost the title to Tyson Fury. Now, that was November of 2015. So it's been a while since Wladimir Klitschko has been in the ring. But like I said earlier, you can't deny the resume of Wladimir Klitschko. Throughout his career, which started a very long time ago in 2001, he's fought the best fighters available in the heavyweight division. In the beginning of his career, he fought Ray Mercer. When he fought for, he started long before 2001. But what I'm saying is he fought title fights since 2001. Charles Shufford. He fought Francois Botha. Ray Mercer in a great fight, Jamal McCline, Corey Sanders. These were all big names during that time in the early 2000s. Lamont Brewster, Sam Peter, Chris Bird, Calvin Brock, Sultran Abragimov. I mean, all these guys, you know. And then, you know, when he lost and came back, you know, he's looking at the Corey Sanders fight was when he lost, so that he regained his title. And fought, like I mentioned, the Chris Birds, and, you know, collected all the belts. And then started defending against all the guys that were available to him. Tony Thompson, Hasim Rahman, Ruslan Shagayev. You know, that was a fighter during that time that I thought was the best heavyweight. And, you know, he proved to me that a good big man will beat a good small man, because although in 2009 when Shagayev fought Klitschko, I felt that Shagayev was the better fighter. He had no answer for the size differential. Also Klitschko beat Eddie Chambers, Samuel Peter, David Hay in what was a joke of a fight. David Hay is the joke himself. He did have some easier fights against Jean-Marc Mormac. Francisco Piata was a guy that worked his way up. Maurice Wack got his chance. He fought him. Alexander Povetkin, which a lot of people wanted to see him fight Wilder, but unfortunately with all the performance-enhancing drugs issues. And in 2014, he fought Kubrat Pulev, a guy that we were talking about earlier. And that, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, throughout his whole stellar first ballot Hall of Fame career, was the most exciting fight I saw him in. And I think that if we saw Wladimir Klitschko fight the way he fought Kubrat Pulev in all of his fights, we would be thinking and looking at Wladimir Klitschko, not that I don't think he's not a Hall of Famer, not that I don't think he's, you know, an all-time great heavyweight, et cetera, but I think the discussion about him would be totally different. Similar to Mike Tyson, even though Mike Tyson, when his when his heyday was over, he really sunk to lows. But people still remember that excitement factor and still regard him as a great fighter. And I think that Wladimir Klitschko is a great fighter, but people won't remember it as much because he wasn't an exciting fighter. He also beat Bryant Jennings and then, of course, losing to Tyson Fury. Sal, before I give a little breakdown of Anthony Joshua, and by the way, Wladimir Klitschko is 6'6". He's got an 81-inch reach, which is he's a big guy. There's no question about it. He's a monster. Do you think that Wladimir Klitschko's style was his worst enemy during his career? The way people are looking at him now, not in terms of wins and losses, because it was very successful to win, but do you think the perception, and because he was a safety-first fighter, do you think that's hurt him with the way the boxing fans look at him?
Well, I think, like you said, he was never really that exciting, personified, electrified fighter that's going to bring it. He was very stoic in his mannerisms, and he was very cool, calm, and collective. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew what his limitations were. He knew how to execute his. He never got really taken off his style, off his track. And will it hurt him? I mean, the guy's already a proven commodity. I mean, you're a heavyweight champion for a 10-year reign, and this guy's got so many great fights and great victories. You got to give him credit where credit is due. And, I think that his style is his style, and it's been a proven one that works for him. Is it the most exciting? No, but it works for him. Just like Mayweather. Mayweather's got his style. It works for him.
Wladimir Klitschko basically was, most people looked at him as the undisputed world heavyweight champion. He had every major belt except for one, and that was the WBC belt. And if you guys remember, the reason he didn't have that belt was because his brother had it for all those years. Both Vitaly and Wladimir were reigning champions at the same time. But then Wladimir wanted to get that WBC belt and came up short and never held on to that one. So that was one thing that he did not obtain. Now, when we take a look at Anthony Joshua, what we see here, and by the way, both had extremely successful amateur careers, gold medal winners, etc. Anthony Joshua, obviously. When Wladimir Klitschko made his pro debut, Anthony Joshua was 7 years old, and that was 20 years ago. He's 27 right now. He's undefeated, 18 wins, all coming by knockout, which, in case you skipped the math that day, it's 100% knockout ratio. He's 6'6", and believe it or not, he's got an inch arm reach advantage over Klitschko. Now, it's only an inch, but does that make much of a difference for a game plan for either fighter, Sal?
No, not 1
inch.
Not 1 inch. Not 1 inch.
Not 1 inch.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
No, you know what? Let me tell you something. One of the things that's so funny you were mentioning earlier, and not that my career was ever on the level of these guys, and I'm humble enough to say that. But, I always faced a taller, leaner opponent, heavier opponent, or just a taller opponent. So my style, I knew how to fight and how to get inside and how to work in and hit the people and feint and do all that stuff to get to my taller opponent. I have more trouble when I face somebody my size or shorter. I'd win, but I had to find a way to make it work. It was awkward. I was used to a tall, lean guy 5-6 inches taller than myself, and I had no problem. I was confident. It was easy. These guys are the same height, but that inch difference in reach is not going to be an issue at all.
I wouldn't think so either.
It's not going to be an issue. It's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, I wouldn't think. But anyway, Anthony Joshua, when you take a look at his resume, a lot of people say that he has a weak resume. I disagree with that. And, I have some strong feelings why, and I'm going to tell you about those strong feelings when we come back. Because right now, we got to take a short little break here. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I'm going to go over Anthony Joshua's resume and, let you decide. And maybe we'll even have some time to open up the phone line. So if you're interested in calling in, get ready. Don't call in until we say so, because we got to, we can only take one caller at a time, and we actually got to kick Sal to the curb when and if that happens. So listen, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion. Anthony Joshua against Wladimir Klitschko, the biggest heavyweight title fight in quite some time. And I'm in the middle of breaking down Anthony Joshua, and then both Sal and I will give you our predictions, and we'll go from there. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a $1 million bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call at 800-567-0214, because we're going to let 1 million people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. Call 800-567-0214. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait. Call 800-567-0214. That's 800-567-0214.
This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS. Look, I know you want to keep ignoring those letters, but the problem isn't going away. It's really stressful, and you don't know where to turn.
The good news is you have rights, and we can help resolve your IRS problems.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, our qualified CPAs, tax negotiators, and support staff know the law and know how to get your situation under control legally and permanently.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. You wouldn't go to fix your car without going to a mechanic, so why face the IRS without an experienced company that can help you?
Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could join us today. And I want to give a special shout out to a new television network we're on, the Holyfield Network. Glad to be part of the Holyfield TV network and their sports programming. And we look to be here on the Holyfield TV network for a long time. And stay tuned. We'll be announcing some more networks that we're being added to in the very near future. Sal, we're in the middle of talking about Anthony Joshua. And, before we went to break, I had said that, a lot of people say that he's had it easy and that some suggest that, his toughest opponent was Kevin Johnson. I disagree. When I look at Anthony Joshua's career, when he turned pro, I mean, he opened up his professional career knocking out an undefeated fighter in Emmanuel Leo, who was 8-0. He knocked him out. He also beat some really tough journeyman fighters in guys like Matt Skelton early in his career. Konstantin Eric, who was also a journeyman fighter but a tough guy. Denis Bakatov, which was a big fight for an international belt back in 2014. Michael Sproat. This was a guy, I know he doesn't have a flattering record, but he's a really tough British fighter. And then he fought Kevin Johnson, which was a big win for him. First time stopping. First time Kevin Johnson was ever stopped. That fight took place in 2015. He fought undefeated fighters back-to-back in Gary Cornish and then Dillian White. And then actually, when he got his shot for the world title against Charles Martin, Martin was also undefeated. And he knocked out all these guys, in a really tough fight. Dominic Breazeale, I thought, was another good opponent. Dominic Breazeale had been kind of coddled a little bit, but he's a tough guy. I mean, Sal, you and I watched this fight, and Breazeale was down a couple of times, but kept getting up. And, we kind of thought, I don't know, my thought of him went up after this fight despite losing. But, I mean, he was a tough fighter. This was a guy that I would have rather have seen Joseph Parker fight versus the guy they put him in with, Kajanu. I thought Dominic Breazeale might have been rushed a little too much. Maybe conditioning was an issue, but I liked that performance. What did you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we saw that fight. And Dominic Breazeale, don't have any second doubt about it. This guy is one tough fighter. And he's hard to put out and to stay out. And he's very durable. He's got some pop in his punch. And, yeah, I like Dominic Breazeale very much.
And, don't forget that when he did fight Dillian White, White was undefeated. They were on a collision course. And I have a feeling that should Dillian White continue on the rise again, his only loss was against Anthony Joshua, that these two guys will meet again at some point. His last fight was against Eric Molina. As a world champion, this might have been his easiest fight. I thought that Charles Martin was a questionable fight. I mean, we really didn't know. He dominated Martin in that fight, and then the Breazeale fight, and then his next fight was against Eric Molina, who gave Deontay Wilder some trouble before Wilder stopped him. I mean, let's be real, Wilder did stop him. So, at the end of the day, I think that Anthony Joshua has had a pretty tough fight. But, this just in, the weigh-ins just took place over in England, and Wladimir Klitschko came in his typical fighting shape, around 240 pounds. But Anthony Joshua, Sal, came in on the scales around 250 pounds. This happens to be the heaviest that he's ever weighed for a professional fight. What's your thoughts on this? What's this an indication of? I mean, I can't possibly think that Anthony Joshua is taking this fight lightly. What's your thoughts on this weight? I mean, he's several pounds heavier than he was in his last fight.
Well, looking at this young 28-year-old Adonis, if you will, I'm going to have to say some of that weight might be just muscle. And, as active as he can be or so, he's a young man. So a lot of this, you're still developing your muscle tissue. And you still have a peak for that period to occur up until your early to mid-30s. So he could be building muscle tissue and he could be losing some fat. So, if that's 10 pounds of muscle or 5 pounds of muscle, he's gonna, we're gonna see it. If it's a little thicker coating of skin, we're gonna see. But I don't think he's gonna come in less than the stellar shape. So I'm gonna have to say that added weight may be a lot to do with a muscle, not the density of a muscle tissue, not extra hamburgers in between rounds.
I don't understand how much more muscle he could put on. I mean, like you just said, he had his body was in pretty good shape. So I guess time will tell, and we'll know, tomorrow night. But okay, here we go. The fight itself. Here's how I see it going, and then we'll get Sal's thoughts, and we'll try to maybe open up the phone line for one or two callers. But we've been saying it all along. This is how I see the fight going. I see the first round or two or even three being fought very cautiously. I don't think that Anthony Joshua is going to rush in. I think that he has a lot of respect for Wladimir Klitschko. I certainly hope he does. And I think he's going to be cautious. I think he's going to try to get a feel for Wladimir Klitschko's pawing jab. I think he's going to try to get a feel for that. I think he's going to try to, tighten up his distance so he can move in a little bit later in the fight. Now, in the first couple of rounds, I think Wladimir Klitschko is going to be doing something similar. I think he's going to come out. He's going to try to establish his pawing jab. He's going to have that right hand cocked and ready. And he's going to be pretty much fighting that style for the entire fight. I think that Wladimir Klitschko is going to hope, and he's banking on, that Anthony Joshua makes a mistake or two or three, and he's going to want to capitalize on that mistake, maybe with a counter right hand and catch Anthony Joshua and then move in for the kill. I would like to see Wladimir Klitschko say to himself, this is it, this is my last hurrah, I'm out of the hamster wheel, like he referred to in the quote that I mentioned earlier, and come after Anthony Joshua with no respect. I think that if he did that, that's his best shot of winning this fight. I think that if he comes in and fights the normal Wladimir Klitschko way, which is cautious, paw and jab, waiting for an opening, waiting for a mistake, waiting, patience. A typical boring fight of Klitschko. I think that if he fights like that this is Anthony Joshua's fight. However, I think if Wladimir Klitschko jumps on Anthony Joshua, comes out quickly, comes out with no respect, comes out with both hands, ablazing, so to speak, looking for an early knockout, something that is not in his repertoire. I think that's his best shot at beating Anthony Joshua. I think Anthony Joshua will wait. He's going to wait, and he's going to wait. And then he's going to become more aggressive around the fifth round. I think by the fifth round, he will have gotten his distance okay. They may or may not have made an adjustment or two in the corner. He's a very well-rounded guy. He listens to his corner. I'm assuming that he's going to be very well prepared for Klitschko. There's certainly a lot of footage for him that could be studied. I do think that Anthony Joshua is still young and has a lot to learn, and he's going to learn a lot in this fight. But I believe that Klitschko will fight his normal way, even though I think his shot at winning would be to come out aggressive. And as a result, I think Anthony Joshua will find his distance and then slowly break down Klitschko. And I do believe that this fight will end via a stoppage, whether it's a knockout or a TKO, late in the fight, and Anthony Joshua will be the victor and will change the heavyweight division, the complexion of the heavyweight division. I believe that Anthony Joshua, I think not only does the heavyweight division need Anthony Joshua to win and win in exciting fashion. That's why I feel that Anthony Joshua has to, maybe be patient for a few rounds, but he eventually has to go in for that kill because he has to win this fight not only on the scorecards, but I think he's got to win the fight by a stoppage. And not only will he solidify his place at the top of the heavyweight division, but he will give boxing, the whole sport of boxing, a shot in the arm, because we all know how the heavyweight division goes, so goes boxing. I think Anthony Joshua will win by stoppage, and that's my official prediction. Sal, how do you see the fight going?
What you said.
What?
Okay, listen.
What? I need you to elaborate a little more than that, Sal.
I'm teasing. Listen, we could bet with our heads, we could bet with our hearts, and these guys are so good at what they do, and I have so much respect for them. I almost wish it was a draw. It's not going to be, and I think Klitschko's got to go out there, as you said, with no respect for Joshua. He's got to be dominant early. He's got to get the respect of Joshua by landing one of his heavy blows early. I think that first round, you're going to see the first half of the first round as a pawing session, a jab here and there, getting their distance. But I believe before the end of the first round, you're going to see Klitschko trying to land one of his haymakers, one of those heavy right hands. Klitschko's only best bet is to hurt Joshua early and to take him out and to jump on him early and fight Joshua like he's still his sparring partner. Like he's going to go out there, be dominant, like he's the champion. And he's got to go out there and be dominant with the jab, establish the distance, and he's got to unleash a right hand, whether he works it to the body, then to the head. I think that's changing up a little bit is what he should do. Is that his style? We're going to wait to see. But if he's going to win, he's got to jump on Joshua early. He's got to establish his jab, and he's got to put that right hand right on the target, follow with a left hook and some combinations to the body. And that's the only way. If he stops Joshua, he can stop Joshua within the 6th round. That's going to be Klitschko's victory. Otherwise, I see what Joshua could do, and Joshua's going to be patient. He's going to outbox a little bit early in the round, and he's going to stay away from those big blows, and he's going to probably establish his dominance in the mid to later of the fight. And I see, this is with my head, not my heart, I see Anthony Joshua landing some of those blows after the 5th and 6th round. That's going to start putting Klitschko on his bike and ultimately have him against the ropes. And I see Anthony Joshua stopping Wladimir Klitschko later in the fight.
Interesting thing you mentioned, a body attack. Wladimir Klitschko, one of the things that he does that, induces the snoozing aspect of his game is that he clinches and holds. And, for whatever reason, when fighters try to move in on him, he's proficient at grabbing them, wrapping them up, and waiting for a referee to break them up. With that said, you wonder, should Anthony Joshua be successful at landing body shots, does that slow Klitschko up? The question is in order for Anthony Joshua to get inside and land body shots, he's going to have to accomplish a couple of things. Number one, he's going to have to avoid the clinches of Wladimir Klitschko. And number two, he puts himself in harm's way. I mean, it's going to boil down to if that fight does get in close, who's the better in fighter? And I don't know the answer to that question because I don't think that Klitschko has been in enough in fights. He either clinches and holds and gets separated or pushes his opponents off. And Anthony Joshua, I haven't seen him do much of the same. So I think it would be interesting to see if that fight does go inside. I mean, what do you think about that? You think were you just saying that as, you hope that happens, or do you see that happening?
I could see it happening, and I kind of hope it happens. But here's the thing. I think Anthony Joshua is going to be much more proficient on the inside if Klitschko tries to tie him up, because part of tying a fighter up, I had a wrestling background too, and I would love to tie up my opponent sometimes just to feel their strength, just to jockey for position, if you will. You're holding one hand, you're trying to land an uppercut or inside in the kidneys or whatever you could do to did I say kidney? Liver. That was his target. And when you're inside, you could do that. You could feel the strength, or put your weight on an opponent. You could jockey for position, I use that term, and try to open up those shots to the body and the uppercuts to the head and following up. And I think if that could be the plan that Klitschko tries to establish, I think it could backfire on him, because I think Joshua does possess some crisp, sharp, tight, explosive, fast punches. Did I say that right? Yeah. And I think that he could be a punching machine inside and establish some heavy shots. So I think if Klitschko wants to try and do that game, even though I think it's his style, I think Anthony Joshua's going to have an answer for him and try to hurt him inside early.
You make a good point. I think that Anthony Joshua is clearly faster than Vlad, and we'll see if he can utilize it. But hey, listen, if you're listening or watching right now during the live show and you have your thoughts on this fight and who will win, I'm going to open up the phone lines. We'll try and take one caller or so, but unfortunately we'll have to kick Sal to the curb to do it. But give us a call, 845-228-8710. with your thoughts on the fight. And if before we go to a caller, Sal, I want to ask your thoughts. How big of a role will the referee play in this fight?
I think the referee, he should stay in the furthest neutral corner. I mean, bottom line is, yeah, I mean, he's going to probably play a role if they do clinch. And if they're holding on, if they're doing too much and there's not much action, referee's going to try and break them apart. But if he will allow them to fight inside, and as I use that term, jockey for position, let the fighter try to work themselves into the position that I think that's going to be a key factor. I think some of this fight, as much as we could see a big shot land from either a guy on the outside, I think the inception or the initial exchange of blows is going to be from the inside. And I think that could be a big part if this referee allows these guys to tie up and to fight inside a little bit.
I agree. And I hope that they do choose a referee that lets these guys fight because, if a referee is going to break them up every single time that, they're in the clinches, they're in they're in close, in a phone booth, so to speak, that's definitely favoring Klitschko in that fight. But considering the fight's in England, which brings me to another point, 90,000 people. I mean, this fight sold out very quickly, and then the powers that be in the city got all kinds of, variances to extend the arena to seat 10,000 more. And it wasn't so much the setup of the arena that they needed, but the city itself needed to be able to accommodate 10,000 more people. Wow. It was set up to handle 80,000. And so they are bringing extra security and transportation, et cetera, to the city to make sure that, they can accommodate 90,000 fans safely. And they're very sure that that's going to happen. And this fight did sell out extremely quickly. And we were talking about this, I guess, last week about the aftermarket pricing of these tickets. Sal, ringside seats being sold aftermarket for U.S. dollars close to $250,000.
Told me that.
235,000 pounds or something like that. Unbelievable that they would go that much, that high. But it goes to show you the differences in the fan base. Here in the United States, our top fighters do well on pay-per-views. But us Americans like our fat fannies on the couch and watching from home, whereas over in Europe, specifically in England, the fight fans love to be there, and it's a very vocal and boisterous crowd. And I always love watching fights from the UK because the fans, that atmosphere makes it so much better. What do you think?
I think you're right, and don't forget about the pint of Guinness. Oops, was that a plug? No, that adds to the emotion, the drama, everything else. No, the fight fans, Billy. I'll tell you what, I'm so excited for this fight. I wish you and I were ringside commentating on this fight. I mean, can you imagine? But I love the fight fans in England. They really. I mean, I love the fight fans, period. But they're just so much more animated in England, and it's like an event. They all rise. The fans rise to the occasion too. They realize, hey, this is our night out. Let's go have a great time. It's not just watching a fight. They become part of the fight.
That's a great point. But the whole thing is, and the other thing I like about the UK boxing scene is the fact that when you see the audience, and you're right, everything they drink is in pint glasses. So but when they pan the audience, it's so diverse. You're seeing young people, you're seeing older people, you're seeing couples. When you watch the fan bases in the United States, I mean, generally it's the same age group, and same people all the time, and it's not as exciting. And a lot of times, you could hear a pin drop in an arena in the U.S., and that's never the case over in England. So I love that. As far as the fight, getting back to Wladimir Klitschko's attitude towards this fight and his statement about saying that, this is his signature fight, even though he's got nothing left to prove. It almost seems to me that, why else would he be doing this? I mean, you would have to assume that I know that they're going to be walking away with, I've heard rumors that they're each going to be making close to $30 million US each for this fight. Aside from the monetary gain, which you would think that Wladimir Klitschko is not in need of. I mean, he's financially set. He's never really wasted money. He's, a smart guy and all of that. Do you think it's the money, or do you really think that Wladimir Klitschko has something to prove? And like he says, to himself, he doesn't care about anybody else. And when you're trying to convince yourself of something, you could be a tough out.
I mean, you could be a tough out. This is an emotional fight for Klitschko, and you know what? Out of that $30 million, he'll probably pocket $7 million.
Well, how can he live on that?
Sorry?
How can he live on that?
I mean, how could I was just trying to imagine the same thing, but the bottom line is this: he's gotten some of those big purses in the past. I'm sure he's already living on it. This is what he said, his signature fight. This is his ultimate twilight test for himself. This is the man looking in the mirror, being happy with the man looking back and smiling and saying, you know what? This is my time. This is what I got to prove, and this is what I got to do for me. And that's the emotion. That's the drive. Each fighter has to have an incentive and a drive to be passionate, to be a fire. And this is his cumulative experience in years, coming to heart, looking in the mirror and saying, this is my moment, and this is the test against me. Not so much even Anthony Joshua. This is what I got to pull out from a 41-year-old me to see what I'm really built of and made of and consist of, and what my mind and my body could work together in unison to establish. So this is coming from him, from his perspective. This is his test against himself, and this is his challenging himself. And I give my hats off to him, because that's a great thing. That's an empowering feeling, and that's great. And I hope whatever happens tomorrow night, I hope those answers are fulfilled in a way that he can go on and live with himself with a smile on his face when he looks in the mirror. And I'm sure he will, because he's a champion inside and out of the ring.
No doubt. Hey, Sal, let's take a short break, and we will come back with some final thoughts. So Sal and I will be back in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a $1 million bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call at 800-567-0214, because we're going to let 1 million people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts, and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now, and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. Call 800-567-0214. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait. Call 800-567-0214. That's 800-567-0214.
Now, back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. join us. And speaking of joining me, Sal Rocky Senecola is with me now. And Sal, I got my thoughts on this fight. I mean, is there more, like Wladimir Klitschko says, do you think there's more pressure on Anthony Joshua?
More pressure on Anthony Joshua. First of all, the pressure is he wants to protect that O, even though, like I said, he is the favorite, and he is also a former sparring partner to someone who was a favorite. And I think the pressure is on him with keeping that O. And also, let's face it, these guys are somewhat familiar with each other. And on that level, I don't think they'd be going into the ring if they felt they were inferior to the other fighter. They both feel they have one up on the other opponent. That's the beauty of this. That's the beauty of also facing a champion or being a sparring partner, because you know what? You feel you have one up, both fighters. So that's what this is going to bring to the level of excitement. Each fighter feels they have one up and ready to go to oust the other one. And I think the pressure is going to be more on Anthony Joshua because, as I said, Wladimir Klitschko is empowered by no longer being the mouse on the treadmill or the wheel, however he analogizes that. He has nothing else to prove. He has lost. He has been knocked out. He has had the time where he's been low and he's come back up. So he's got nothing to prove. He's going to go out there, unleash, take the governor off, and hopefully he's going to be at peace with himself, establishing and being dominant what he feels is going to be his greatest and best moment. And I think that's great.
A fight like this, Wladimir Klitschko is actually in a win-win situation.
Yes, he is.
If he wins the fight, he says, "See, I'm the best." It's no mistake. I've dominated the division for a decade. If he loses, he says, "Okay, my time's up. I'm over." I tried my best. Age, Father Time caught up with me. Anthony Joshua is on the rise. I can't believe that Anthony Joshua, despite the weight that the reports are coming in about the weigh-in, I can't imagine that Anthony Joshua is taking this fight lightly. I can't imagine that he is already feels that he's accomplished what he has. Everything that I've ever heard come out of his mouth was all positive stuff. But maybe the pressure aspect, the things that Wladimir Klitschko have been talking about, maybe that is starting to weigh on Anthony Joshua. Statements that we've made on this show today. This fight, the winner of this fight, should Anthony Joshua win this fight, he's going to change the complexion of the heavyweight division. He's going to, get boxing back in the way we want it and all these things. And, obviously we're not the only ones saying this, So maybe that pressure of the fight is weighing on Anthony Joshua. But listen, the bell's going to ring tomorrow night, and we are going to be here for the post-fight show. Now, we're going to be doing our post-fight show as soon as the fight is over. Now, we're talking about the live broadcast, which here in the States is going to be around 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you watch the fight and then tune in right here on all of our vehicles, whether it's BillyCBoxing.com, our YouTube channel, on Fight TV, on the Holyfield Network, our podcast. Everything will have our post-fight show. So make sure that you check it out here. We will be opening up the phone lines, and we'll be getting your thoughts in between our thoughts. And speaking of thoughts, I want to give a shout-out to my man Dax Khan. He's a little under the weather today, and hopefully he'll be back to normal early next week. So all I could say to my man Dax is a speedy recovery, and hopefully all will go well. But to get out of the Wladimir Klitschko-Anthony Joshua fight for a second, Sal, there are a couple of other fights this weekend. One we already talked about with Kubrat Pulev fighting Kevin Johnson. And we also mentioned Carlos Zambrano against Claudio Murillo. which is a fight which, incidentally, is kind of comical since the WBA is putting their interim. Remember, this is the same sanctioning body that keeps saying they want to clean up all their belts. Well, they're putting their interim featherweight title on the line for this fight. And Carlos Zambrano, despite being out a year and a half, is getting a shot. So, I think it's crazy. There's also Casey Ramos against Miguel Beltran. And then the battle of Chavez against Alvarez is taking place this weekend. Alvarez against Chavez. No, I'm not losing my mind. Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez. No, they're fighting next week.
Yes.
But this week, Ramon Alvarez, which is Canelo Alvarez's brother, and Omar Chavez, who is Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.'s brother, are fighting each other this week. So we'll see what happens there. It's actually a rematch. It's the second fight. The first fight, Alvarez came out on top. And I don't know if you've ever seen Omar Chavez fight, but a lot of people regarded him as being a much more talented fighter than Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And one other thing I noticed about some publicity shots recently, Chavez Jr. is extremely bigger than Canelo Alvarez, so it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. I have not heard of anything going on in Chavez Jr.'s camp since his father was critical of his discipline, lack of discipline. But, Sal, how about this? It was made official the other day. Now, we talked about this actually, I think, 2 weeks ago, but it was made official the other way that Triple G is definitely not fighting again in June. His goal was to fight again in June after his fight with Daniel Jacobs. And now the game plan, according to his team and himself, is that he is going to wait to fight the winner of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. against Canelo Alvarez, and that fight will take place sometime in September. Do you think that Triple G is making the smart decision here? And before you answer, the things that really are in question is, number one, is he smart to wait and fight one time for arguably more money than to possibly fight two fights? Or should he have tried to unify the belt against the Billy Joe Saunders, which he shouldn't have had much difficulty with, and then look at the winner of Alvarez Chavez Jr.? What do you think? Do you think he's making the smart decision, or do you think that he needed time to heal? I mean, what's your thoughts?
Well, he had a rougher fight his last time out, and I think for him to get his head on straight again and to really assess and look at the styles and to prepare himself right, I think waiting for the winner of next week's fight and having it in the fall, I think is ideal for him. Do I think it was the best route to take? No, I would have loved to have seen him fight Billy Joe Saunders and win that other belt. That would have been dynamic. That would have been the way to go. That would have been my choice and my decision had I had that opportunity. That's gone. It's not going to happen. Now the next big mega fight for him will be the winner of next week's fight between Chavez and Alvarez. And I think he's making the right move waiting for those two, because you don't want to take another chance. If you can't fight Billy Joe Saunders in between and get that other belt, you know what? Then just wait and see. Pick it up, make it a mega money fight, make it a big promotion, and take on the winner from next week's fight. And let's get that over with once and for all.
Triple G's 35 years old.
That's what I'm saying. He's got only a couple fights left.
Yeah, and for a guy in his weight class, 35, I mean, it's heavyweights can get away with it, but I'm not so sure the other divisions can. So he's 35 years old. And like you just said, he doesn't have many fights left. The fight against, Canelo Alvarez is clearly a money fight. Billy Joe Saunders does nothing for him except give him his goal of collecting all the belts. But Billy Joe Saunders would not be a competitive fight against Triple G, and I don't care how bad his last two performances were. But, when you look at the Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez fight, even though we've talked about this several times, this fight is being fought at a catch weight, 164.5 pounds, which is technically super middleweight. I mean, it's 4.5 pounds over the middleweight limit. And Chavez Jr., very well may not even come in at weight. He may come in to fight overweight. Maybe that's part of their plan to be bigger. There's no title on the line, of course. I'm sure there's some forfeiture of monies. He'll have to forfeit some money. But I still believe that, Chavez Jr. is going to give Canelo a tough fight. I really do. I don't think this is a layup, Sal. And the thought of, Triple G fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., I don't even like that fight for Triple G. I mean, Chavez Jr., Sal, right now, has so much at stake. If this kid can't get disciplined and be at his best against Canelo, he never will. What's your thought?
No. You hit it on the head. Like I said, whatever's happening in his camp between he and Papa Chavez, I'll tell you what, could be rhetoric, could be lulling Alvarez into complacency, which is not going to happen. They're both professionals. But, you still may want to leak something out that's not the truth. The bottom line is, this is Chavez's greatest opportunity and moment to rise to the occasion, to do a hell of a job, to put on a performance, to increase his marquee value or whatever else. Or this is going to be his way of removing himself from that upper tier and letting Alvarez dominate and stop him. So this is a great fight, but he is not a layup. This is what the significance of this fight represent. This is Chavez's last hurrah to say, hey, I'm stellar. I'm on top of the world. I could beat anybody my weight, and I'm going to do what you've all have been wanting me to do, and show you that yes, I do possess the blood of my father. That with all the talent and the skill that you've seen me possess, it's all going to come cumulatively together, and I'm going to show you tonight. I don't know if that's going to happen, but he is a dangerous opponent for anybody because of his body attack and because of his size. He's a big guy.
I just and I say this. Even I'm sick of it. I've said it so much, but the weakness that Canelo has is, he doesn't hit effectively on the move, and he's kind of got to plant his feet and stand in front of his opponent, and then let his hands go, and that's going to fight right into the strength of Chavez Jr. And I said this, when the fight was first announced, I was just like everybody else. Oh no, But then a week later, once it sunk in, I said, this is not a smart fight for Canelo. I know maybe it's a moneymaker. I know it's the Mexican versus Mexican. I mean, there's going to be a lot of interest in that fight from Mexico and of course Mexican Americans. But the truth of the matter is, it's not a layup fight. I do give Canelo credit for this fight.
Me too.
He claims he's the biggest star in boxing today, and although I believe he's following the blueprint, the success blueprint of Floyd Mayweather Jr., he is fighting outside of Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s blueprint in this particular fight. Whether his team has told him it's going to be an easy fight, like Floyd liked to pick, or not, this is not an easy fight. This is not Floyd Mayweather against Madonna, which, turned out to be an exciting fight, the first one anyway. It's going to be, it's a dangerous fight for Canelo, and there's a lot on the line. I think if Canelo loses this fight, all of a sudden, Chavez Jr. and Triple G are fighting in September, and Canelo drops a few pegs. I mean, all of a sudden, there's a lot of pressure on Canelo. And the only other thing about the Triple G not choosing to possibly unify all the belts by fighting Billy Joe Saunders is, how can you trust Team Canelo, Sal? I mean, they've BS'd Triple G before. I mean, how do you trust that team?
Well, you can. Just what you said. The only thing you can trust is not to trust. And like I said, there's rhetoric, there's this, that. Until things are signed, sealed, and they deliver, you never know what's going to happen with the Canelo camp. And, you and I have been talking about Canelo and his style. The night we saw Canelo fight Mayweather, and he's always had that deficit or problem with getting set and punching and all that. You would think in the last 4 years or something, 3 years, that they would have corrected that. And I'd like to say they have probably worked on that. But yet again, that may be his style. And if that's his comfort zone and his style, he's not going to get away from it. So this fight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is going to be a very risky fight for him. And guess what? The pressure is more, I think, on Canelo Alvarez. So you hit it right on the head. We'll see what he could deliver.
Well, next week, obviously, that fight will be taking place. And, of course, we'll be doing a post-fight show after that one. And we'll be talking all next week about the buildup of that fight. But this weekend, we have the biggest fight in the heavyweight division to date for a long time. Not ever, but at least for a long period of time.
A long time.
I suppose we could throw in Tyson Fury against Klitschko, but prior to that. So hopefully all you guys will be watching it. And then don't forget to tune in here on our network to watch our post-fight show. And we will be opening up the phone lines. Of course, I'll be scoring the fight myself, so we'll have, should it go to the scorecards, we'll have our opinions on that. So we'll be able to give you our opinions on the fight and hopefully where we feel each fighter will go from here. After the fight itself, there are rumors that there are a rematch clause in it, so if it's a close fight, maybe we see a rematch. If it's a blowout, knockout win for either guy, I doubt we see a rematch unless Anthony Joshua gets knocked out. Then, of course, he's going to want a rematch. But if he blows out Klitschko, I mean, why would anybody want to see it again? You know,
that's right. That's true.
But the truth of the matter is, we hope that you tune in for the post-fight show, and keep your eyes on this show because we're incorporating a lot of changes we've been working on. We told you. When 2017 kicked off, even though it's been several months already, almost 5 since the new year started. We're almost can you believe we're almost halfway through? We got the new month starts Monday. You know, half of a year is going to be behind us in a few weeks. But the bottom line is, some of the changes that we made on this show took some time, and we got a lot more coming. And one thing is for sure, we will be bringing back our trivia question. We have a trivia question every single day, and we'll be giving away prizes for free for the first correct answer. And I will tell you guys, they're not easy trivia questions. We don't like to just give you stuff. We may have to make you earn it. But anyway, Sal, any final thoughts on the big fight coming up this weekend between Wladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua?
I'm bobbing and weaving in my seat. I'm so excited. I can't sit still. I just want to say I can't wait. I'm anticipating this fight and looking forward to even next week. But I don't want to look past this fight because I want to enjoy it. Let's see what happens tomorrow night. May be a good fight. May both men be protected and from permanent harm or injury. But let the best man win, and we're going to see hopefully 2 men giving it their best.
My final thoughts on this fight is I've been saying it all along. I think that it's the most substantial heavyweight fight we've seen in a long time. I think the ramifications of this fight go well beyond the heavyweight division. Anthony Joshua is some new blood. He's fresh. I love him. I said when the first time I saw him come out and fight, I said, this is the guy. He's going to be the new face of boxing. And he's a good face to have. This is a humble guy, a guy that's admitted that, he wants to continue learning. If he does talk smack, he'll try to back it up, although I haven't heard much smack from him. The worst thing that's come out of his mouth for the buildup of this fight is that he says that Wladimir Klitschko is old enough to be his father. And that was actually a quote that Wladimir Klitschko said. So, I love this approach from him and his team. They seem humble. They seem eager to get better and better, and it's something that I feel that he has. There's no question and no doubt that come tomorrow night, he is going to be in the ring with the best opponent that he's ever faced in his life. And win, lose, or draw, he's going to learn a lot from fighting Wladimir Klitschko tomorrow night. So my thoughts are the same. I am predicting Anthony Joshua to win this fight, and I do think that he will stop Wladimir Klitschko in an exciting fashion. I would not be surprised if both fighters hit the canvas in this fight, but at the end of the night, Anthony Joshua's hand will be raised. He will be a unified champion. Then it's going to be interesting to see what the self-proclaimed best heavyweight in the world, Deontay Wilder, does next, because that would be the obvious fight that the fans will want to see. Unfortunately, sanctioning bodies have mandatories and all the other BS. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Deontay Wilder go after Joseph Parker and then he unify a title and try to out-bargain Anthony Joshua, should he win, or Wladimir Klitschko, should he win. The winner of this fight tomorrow night needs to fight Deontay Wilder. No more BS. I mean, it's time for Deontay Wilder to put up or shut up. And first things first, it's time for like Sal said, the best guy to win tomorrow night. So make sure you tune it in here for our post-fight show approximately 6 minutes after the official announcement is made. We are talking about the live broadcast. I know that they'll be doing a rebroadcast here in the States, but the live broadcast, approximately 6 minutes. Tune it in right here. Until then, make sure you tune in. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.